Every single year, millions of tourists flock to the heart of the American West. They stand in absolute awe, capturing photographs of the majestic geysers and boiling hot springs of Yellowstone National Park. They walk along the wooden pathways, completely mesmerized by the raw, natural beauty. But what they do not realize is that they are walking on the roof of a ticking apocalyptic time bomb. Beneath their feet lies a monster capable of altering the destiny of human civilization in a matter of days. The Yellowstone Supervolcano. And recent scientific discoveries have just revealed that this monster is far more terrifying and far larger than we ever imagined. For decades, we believed we understood how the Yellowstone magmatic system worked. We thought it was a simple, shallow chamber of magma waiting to release its pressure. But the Earth has been hiding a massive secret. Using cutting-edge seismic data and global positioning systems, scientists have peered deep into the Earth's crust. What they found, published in recent groundbreaking geological studies, completely changes everything. They discovered a hidden, secondary magma chamber, sitting far below the first one. To put this into perspective, this newly discovered chamber contains enough molten rock to fill the Grand Canyon over 11 times. It is a staggering reservoir of apocalyptic power, spanning an area 6 times the size of Chicago. But the terrifying discoveries did not stop there. Geologists have now mapped a massive mantle plume, a deep column of incredibly hot rock surging upwards from the Earth's core, feeding this vast magmatic system. We now know that Yellowstone is not just a pool of magma. It is a complex, multi-layered plumbing system of liquid fire. The shallow chamber contains a volatile, gas-rich magma mush ready to explode, while the deeper chamber acts as a limitless fuel tank, constantly pumping relentless heat from the Earth's mantle. This is not just a volcano. It is a planetary pressure cooker. To truly understand what a Yellowstone eruption would mean for our modern world, we must look at the dark pages of history. We don't have to guess what a super-eruption does to the planet. In the year 1816, the world experienced a terrifying phenomenon known as the Year Without a Summer. A volcano named Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted, blasting millions of tons of ash and sulfur into the stratosphere. The ash cloud blocked out the sun, plunging parts of the globe into a volcanic winter. Snow fell in the middle of June in North America. Crops failed globally. Rivers froze in the summer, and widespread famine caused mass starvation. But here is the chilling reality. The eruption of Mount Tambora was merely a fraction of the power contained within Yellowstone. If Yellowstone were to experience a Category 8 super-eruption today, the immediate devastation would be unimaginable. A supersonic shockwave of superheated gas and rock, known as a pyroclastic flow, would instantly vaporize everything within a 60-mile radius. Forests, wildlife, and entire cities would be reduced to gray ash in seconds. But the true nightmare would be what happens next. A massive umbrella cloud of toxic ash would rise into the stratosphere, blocking out the sun across the entire North American continent. Within days, a suffocating blanket of toxic volcanic ash would bury multiple states. The ash is not like soft snow. It is made of jagged, microscopic shards of glass and rock. Breathing it shreds the lungs, causing a drowning sensation on dry land. The sheer weight of the ash accumulating on rooftops would cause millions of homes and buildings to collapse instantly. The North American electrical grid would short-circuit and fail entirely, plunging the continent into a new, dark age. Water supplies would turn into toxic sludge. Global air travel would be permanently grounded, as jet engines melt mid-air from the glass particles. But the true global catastrophe is the volcanic winter. The sulfur dioxide injected into the atmosphere would act like a massive planetary mirror. It would reflect the sun's rays back into space, completely blocking out the light. Global temperatures could plummet by up to 10 degrees Celsius for a decade. This sudden, violent climate shift would trigger an extinction-level event for global agriculture. Without sunlight and warmth, the global food supply chain would collapse in a matter of months. Supermarkets would empty, and humanity would face a starvation crisis unlike anything recorded in human history. It would be a slow, freezing, and agonizing end. So, the terrifying question is, are we just sitting here, waiting for the end of the world? The answer might surprise you. In 2017, researchers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory conducted a classified study. They were tasked with defending human civilization from supervolcanic eruptions. They concluded that Yellowstone is a far greater threat to life on Earth than any asteroid or comet impact. But NASA didn't just study the problem. They proposed a radical, multi-billion-dollar solution. A plan so crazy, it sounds like pure science fiction. NASA's theoretical plan involves cooling the supervolcano down to prevent it from ever erupting. The idea is to drill a massive hole 10 kilometers deep into the hydrothermal system outside the boundaries of the Yellowstone caldera. But they would not drill directly into the magma chamber. Doing so would accidentally trigger the exact catastrophic eruption they are desperately trying to stop. Instead, they would pump high-pressure, freezing cold water down into the surrounding rock. As the cold water circulates through the highly heated rock, it absorbs the intense thermal energy. This process would slowly bleed the heat away from the magma chamber, decreasing the pressure. The boiling water returning to the surface wouldn't just be wasted. NASA proposed using it to power a massive, futuristic geothermal electricity plant. This plant would generate incredibly cheap, clean energy for the entire surrounding region. Essentially, they want to make the volcano pay for its own cooling system. However, this ambitious plan is not without terrifying risks. Drilling near a supervolcano is like performing open-heart surgery on a ticking bomb. A single miscalculation, a structural failure, or an accidental release of trapped toxic gases could destabilize the fragile crust. This could accidentally trigger the catastrophic eruption, ending the world faster. Furthermore, cooling a beast the size of Yellowstone would be a generational project. Even at maximum efficiency, it would take tens of thousands of years to cool the magma chamber significantly. For now, the plan remains purely theoretical. There are no massive drills heading to Wyoming. Instead, scientists rely on a sprawling network of high-tech sensors, seismographs, and satellite uplinks. They monitor the volcano's every breath analyzing the data in secure underground labs. They watch the ground swell and fall. They measure the heat emissions, and they wait. Statistically, Yellowstone is not overdue for an eruption. Geological clocks do not run on human schedules. But geology has taught us one harsh, undeniable lesson. The Earth is not a stable, permanent home. It is a violent, ever-changing planet that has reset the board of life multiple times before. We have built our fragile, modern civilization during a brief window of geological peace. The Yellowstone Supervolcano is a sleeping giant, breathing silently beneath our feet. The question is not if it will wake up again. The question is, will we be ready when it does? If a super eruption happened tomorrow, what is your ultimate survival plan? Would you try to outrun the ash cloud or hide in an underground bunker? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you want to stay awake to the terrifying forces that shape our world, hit that subscribe button to enter the Vexar Vault.